All right,
in three.
welcome to Revlog, where Bryan is upright today. He's in all of his cognitive ability, and uh, we'll see.
No, hey, don't go too far.
Yeah, we're grateful that we can we can be together today. And this week we jump into the study of Philippians and looking for joy. We find in in this study of Philippians. Before we jump into Philippians 1 here, I mean, what are you looking forward to in this study of the book of Philippians? Aaron, you got anything that you're excited about or hoping for as we come to this new study?
Oh, I love these letters. I think Paul is sincere. Paul is he's direct. You know, he kind of covers the gamut of how to relate to believers, how to encourage them, how to chastise, how to challenge. So I think all of these letters, anytime we can spend time with them, it's good for us all.
Yeah, absolutely. BR, what do you think?
I'm looking forward to chapter 4. I hope it's in the Baptist way. Seriously, I have not looked ahead in it, but I love chapter 4 of Philippians.
Well, with this study, thankfully, we get to every verse in the book of Philippians through chapter 3. No, I'm just kidding. No, we get,
I wrote that for a split second, Chris. I was going to faint.
No, we get every verse, and I love these when we can go verse by verse through the book of Philippians, and I think this can be good. There's some of the best material here on Christ and who Christ is, and there is a lot of joy here. Paul's writing from prison and writing from prison about joy. I mean, those are some. It's going to be a great study. I'm looking for something for us to memorize through here too. So we'll see what that's going to be. So I'm hoping we can memorize some stuff out of the book of Philippians. But
that'd be awesome.
Today, and Bryan, you got a new Topo Chico sponsorship. You want to go ahead and give a?
I didn't know that was
give an ad.
It's crisp and minerally.
I think I get a new iPhone out of this.
I don't know, BR. You might struggle here. I hear HEB's come out with their own brand of Topo Chico.
Yeah,
is that right?
I've tried it. It's not as good.
It's not as good.
Not good.
We'll tell them to work on the recipe there. But let's go ahead and jump into Philippians 1 through 11. Aaron, what was your initial reaction here to this, the introductory part of Philippians? I
speak on really behalf of the entire worship ministry, I'm pretty sure, is that we hear these words and we have a song in our head. This has been set so very beautifully in an anthem that means a lot to us. And just these ideas, I thank my God in every remembrance of you. You notice it here, but also the beginning of Colossians and the beginning of First Thessalonians has the same salutation that just Paul wants to just let people know, man, I just love you. Mm-hmm. And Paul is a, he's erudite, he's a scholar, he can be intimidating. I mean, we know that from his conversion. I mean, people were scared of this guy because he was, but he is soft towards the gospel and to those that he has loved it in partnership. And I think that's one of the things that I love about this, that he's saying, guys, every time I think of you, I'm so thankful for you because of your participation in the gospel. And I'm thinking of this not as this evangelist that preaches to people and they just sit and listen, but that they were partaking in whatever he was doing in Philippi at that time. They were going out. They were hands and feet of Jesus, making this church happen. And Paul was remembering that. He was going, that's an amazing thing that you guys were a part of that work. And I just want to affirm that in my memory and to you.
Yeah. Paul is very sweet, kind, gentle, sincere, as he speaks of them here. I mean, that's an example for all of us. And verse 8, for God is my witness, how I long for you with all the affection of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, what a beautiful phrase and the way he talks about this church and the way they've supported him and loved on him too. I mean, it's beautiful and makes me feel a little insecure about letters I've written. I don't have that same kind of the language. Maybe I should. So, or go ahead, BR.
I was going to say a couple of things. One, that it's tender. It really is a tender letter. And second, I think we're the poorer, and I say this as not ever having been a prolific letter writer in my life, and now, that's like a ancient, craft. But I think we're the poorer for not engaging in that art of letter writing.
I agree.
Yeah. I've tried to do a little more of that. It gets me too. My handwriting is terrible. So now I've gone to kind of like printing. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a whole
Okay.
nother thing. And because once you try to write a letter, and I try to do it handwritten, right? So it seems more personal, but then you can't read my handwriting, and then you got a whole other thing going on. So anyway, we'll continue to work on that and work on my flowery language, like Paul. So. But Bryan, what was your initial reaction to the intro to Philippians?
I zeroed in on verse 6, and the more, I was almost said the older I get, and then I wanted to backtrack because I know Aaron's going to have something at the ready.
Yeah, how's that possible?
That was brilliant, Aaron. Wow. The more I go on in life, did I mention crisp and minerally? The more I go on, the more precious this particular phrase of Paul becomes, this sentence, he who began a good work in you. And some of Tom Wright, N.T. Wright, has.
Did you just call him Tom Wright?
Well, I mean, that's, he goes.
Y'all on a first name basis? That's.
He follows Bryan on Twitter.
Wait,
Tom.
Does NT Wright follow you on Twitter?
No.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't.
But you call him Tom.
I've seen presentations and so forth where colleagues call him Tom, and I just had that in my mind. Sorry.
NT Wright.
Honorable NT Wright, the most reverend. He has affected my thinking on this passage, because one of the things that I think is important, this is an eschatological phrase or sentence that Paul says, because he looks forward to the day of Christ. And there is a sense that what we do in this age has weight and it matters. Yeah. And there's a gravity to it. And so he who began a good work in you, I think that probably we can think of that as not just renewing your character, but renewing the world. The work that we do empowered by Christ matters. And so and so one of the things that N.T. Wright says is that he believes that in the age to come, that there are certain things of this world that will be carried over of this age and made all the more splendid and beautiful. He uses, for instance, the music of Bach. He thinks the music of Bach will be there in its full flower. But that calls into question, what else can we do? What good works in the name of Christ? The cup of cold water is more, somehow there's going to be a cosmic remembrance of all of these things. And so he who began a good work in you, not just in your character, but renewing the world, will carry it to completion. It's worth completing. Like Paul says in Galatians, don't grow weary in well-doing, because no matter how long it takes, we will reap. We will reap. We will live to see that, even if it's in the age to come, we will be there to see that, until that day. Paul says here in the Philippians, until that day, and the promise of the labor that we love. And the reason that we really love labor as Christians is because it's the work of God that we do. and it will be that labor is also loved by Christ.
Yeah.
What we do that pleases him, he also loves, and he loves that we love that, I think. And so he stewards the efforts too. He stewards that project that we're working on. And so he will assist it and fund it, if you will, and bring it to full flower. And I think that is the most joyous picture.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I'm reminded in Revelation, I've thought a lot about this, what it means when it says there will be a new earth. It says
Yes.
Revelation talks about a new heaven and a new earth, and a new age where it seems like creation almost comes to fruition to everything it should be, right?
Yes. Nothing will be lost in the sense of this creation was not in vain.
Right.
It will be renewed.
That's right.
And all who count on Christ will be there to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Aaron, what question came to mind as you read Philippians 1?
I just want to piggyback just for a second,
yeah, go ahead.
Bryan. Just that the idea that he who began a good work in you, that he may not be calling you to complete it, but he will see it completed. And I think sometimes we look at that thinking that we're the ones that have to get it done, and just acknowledge that we are in this long line of stewards of the work or whatever it may be, and that's a privilege.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good.
I would just say, going on with the first part that speaks to me is how am I communicating with those people that have meant so much to me in the formation of my own faith, or just who have partnered with me. I mean, I think first of all to the first pastor I ever served with, the one that married April and I, Pastor Paul. He was such a strong influence on my just who I am as a godly man, and just there are people like that. And do I communicate with them how grateful I am for allowing me to participate in the gospel work with them, and then to kind of continue this line of Paul's thinking, and I need to do that more.
Amen. Yeah, that's exactly right. Bryan, what question came to mind for you?
Well, as I think about Christ bringing to full flower the work that we do in his name and by his power, bringing it to full flower as a crowning achievement, in his kingdom. I have to ask, is the work I'm doing, whatever that may be, whatever I'm setting my hand to, is that a crowning achievement? I mean, or is it killing me? Because it can't be both. It can't do both. I mean, some of the things that I give myself to are really sucking the life out of me often. And I don't think I'm alone in that, but I certainly am able to do things that are not worthy of crowning achievement status.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't, it's not going to do both. So is the work I'm doing a crowning achievement, or is it killing me? And I really have to reckon with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you there. We would love to hear your thoughts as you've listened along with us, what you think of Philippians 1 and where this letter is going. And we'd also like to hear your thoughts on Bryan's Topo Chico. Should it return or not?
Absolutely.
So if you would, comment below.